The Hoenn region is one of my favorite places to explore, especially with the expansion of Pokémon Emerald, but I still have no idea what the heck Altering Cave is supposed to be. This cave is located on Route 103 in the Emerald version of the Hoenn region, or at least I thought it was, because apparently it isn't here. Well, it won't be here the first time you come across it. Upon becoming the champion of the Pokemon League, this is an area that opens up, and inside we can find nothing except for a lot of Zubat. I'm serious, there aren't any hidden items, no other kinds of Pokemon, literally only Zubat. For all the memes that people make about Mount Moon, at least there are other encounters programmed in. Here in Altering Cave, you won't meet anything else. This place does actually use the Kanto Cave music, unlike a lot of the other places throughout the Hoenn region. That's because Altering Cave appeared in Fire Red and Leaf Green a year prior. This one is located in the Sevi Islands, and even though it looks a bit different because of this game's tile set, it's basically the same thing going on. Altering Cave was supposed to have even more Pokemon, but it's a feature that wasn't fully implemented. The intention was that through mystery gift events distributed at Wonder Spots, the Pokemon inside the cave would, alter. We know this now because of all the data dug out of these games over the years, notably a mystery gift message that was meant for the event telling you there are different Pokemon in the cave. I think this is an interesting idea. It's kind of similar to the outbreaks that we end up seeing in other Pokemon games, but relegated to a single cave and dictated by mystery gift. Though because of that, it's a bit worse, especially with the fact that the whole thing was scrapped, despite the location being implemented into the final product. The additional Pokemon that were meant to be used here were Mareep, Aipom, Pineco, Shuckle, Teddiursa, Houndour, Stantler, and Smeargle. Notice anything about them? That's right, these are all Generation 2 Pokemon. See, before Generation 3, Pokemon Green, Red, Blue, and Yellow could interact with Gold, Silver, and Crystal. But when moving on to the new console, Game Freak decided to start over. That's why the remakes of Fire Red and Leaf Green needed to be made, so that the Pokemon from the Kanto region could be made available on the modern consoles. It's also why we even had the Sevi Islands with a handful of Johto Pokemon appearing there. I mean, the music pieces used in a lot of the Sevi Islands are just redone versions of location themes in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. And that's also the same reason we see a good amount of Generation 2 Pokemon popping up in normal routes of the Hoenn region. But even then, a lot of them weren't all too common in their original games, to the point that some of them, like Slugma, are often mistaken as Generation 3 Pokemon sometimes. Also, this did make the Safari Zone very necessary and made it make a bit more sense, because you knew for a fact where some of these special Pokemon originally came from before being imported here. And even that Pokemon Emerald continued the accessibility with how the Safari Zone could be upgraded to include even more, though I really want to talk about the Safari Zone at another time after I personally, fully upgrade my own. But anyway, also in Pokemon Emerald, the Battle Frontier had an interesting way of including 2 additional Pokemon. If you head to the bottom right of the island, you'll find a narrow path where an older woman says she thought she saw a tree up ahead moving. As expected, the funny tree turns out to be Sudowoodo, blocking a narrow path the same way it did in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. It's pretty cool to have another opportunity to catch one, but as with the previous games, you'd better be careful because this is your one shot. After it's out of the way, you can reach a place known as the Artisan Cave, and inside here you'll find only Smeargle. Definitely not as annoying as Zubat because these Pokemon are immediately useful with their higher level and access to the move Sketch. I don't mean to hate on Zubat, it's just that by the time we got Altering Cave, we had already seen it a bunch. But aside from all the Smeargle here, I find it interesting that all the items in the cave are stat boosting medicines. A good way of giving these to the player now that they've reached the post game. The cave kinda loops around, and if you get to the end of it, it'll spit you out at an exit near the northern part of the island, but the purpose of this little adventure was very clear. Game Freak needed to add the Johto Pokemon into the advanced generation. And I think overall when you look at everything they did, it's pretty cool and it worked out well. Though when it comes to the cave specifically, Artisan Cave is a fun place as a reward for reaching it, while Altering Cave is a shadow of what it could have been. I do totally get what they were going for, but I really wish that it wasn't tied to a distribution event, regardless of whether or not they actually did them, because again, they ended up never actually doing any of the events. I think that the concept could have worked on its own. I mean, these games already have so many cool moving pieces to them that change as you play the game depending on various factors, and different Pokemon showing up in Altering Cave would have been just another fun piece of the adventure. Maybe give it the same kind of randomization as some of the other events in the game, and then have an NPC who will tell us about the outbreaks, maybe even Professor Birch. Or maybe it even could have utilized the special phrases in the same way that other things do. Though without any of that, Altering Cave is actually kinda sad. I mean, I don't hate Zubat or anything, I just wish they picked a different Pokemon to be the default, because we can already find Zubat in other caves throughout these games. So all those factors together just makes this one place you literally never have to visit. Things ended up working out in the end, but it is interesting how Game Freak had to solve this problem, making an entire generation's worth of Pokemon somehow fit into these games. So let me know what you think about these 2 weird caves in the comments below. Anyway, I should really get back to exploring, I really could use a 23rd Zubat. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators: Cosmo Zero, Justin Dows, Mr. Saturn, Rainfrux, Cheez-It62, Switz Cheese, Michael Snyder, Lockadox, Gallantry, GatorKid509, TF, Cheeseburger Lasers, Mathaclock947, Nomad Nobi, Pastel Blood, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
Pokemon Gold and Silver are on their way.
Good thing you made room, because now there's even more Pokemon from the new Gold and Silver edition. Now, there's even more to catch.
Pokemon.
Each set sold separately.